Imagine planning the most important day of your life, only to discover your parents secretly turned it into a joint celebration for your sister, and then stuck you with an $86,000 bill you never agreed to pay.
Most people would panic. But me?
I smiled, signed nothing, and planned a revenge they never saw coming. If you've ever been betrayed by family or underestimated, hit that like button right now. Subscribe, because what you're about to hear isn't just a wedding story. It's about justice, betrayal, and the sweetest revenge I've ever served. I always thought my wedding day would be the one moment in my life where everything finally centered around me. Not in a selfish way, but in the way every little girl dreams about. The dress, the flowers, the walk down the aisle, and the people I love gathering to celebrate my happiness. But if you know anything about my family, you'll understand why that dream was always at risk. You see, my parents had a favorite child. And it wasn't me. It was my older sister, Melissa. From as far back as I can remember, Melissa was the golden one. She got the best clothes, the newest gadgets, and the kind of praise that never seemed to run out. Straight A's? They bragged to the neighbors. Average grades? Still, she's so gifted, just misunderstood.
And me?
If I got an A, they'd ask why it wasn't an A+. If I worked hard, they'd wonder why I wasn't more naturally talented like Melissa. Don't get me wrong, I loved my sister when we were kids. But as we grew older, her entitlement only got worse. And the worst part, my parents fed into it, almost like they needed her to stay on a pedestal. So, when I got engaged, part of me already braced for the storm. My fiancé, Daniel, knew the history. He had witnessed it firsthand at family dinners where my parents ignored me and doted on Melissa's every word, where my achievements were brushed aside while Melissa's smallest accomplishments were celebrated with champagne. Still, I thought, just this once, they'll have to let me shine. The very first conversation I had with my mom about the wedding should have been a red flag. We were sitting in her kitchen, sipping tea, and I could already tell from the tightness in her smile that she had an agenda. "Sweetheart," she said, dragging out the word like she was buttering me up, "your father and I were talking, and we think it would be so special if we made your wedding a double celebration."
I frowned.
"What do you mean?"
Her eyes lit up.
"Well, Melissa and Jason's anniversary is just a week before your date. Wouldn't it be beautiful if we combined the events? One big family party, so much love in one room." I laughed, thinking she was joking.
"Mom, no.
A wedding and an anniversary are totally different things." Her smile flickered, but she tried again. "But think of the cost savings. One venue, one caterer, one photographer. And of course, your sister would love it. She thinks it would be a wonderful way to celebrate as a family." I set my cup down, pulse quickening. It's not about saving money. It's my wedding. I don't want to share it with anyone. That's when my dad chimed in from across the table, where he'd been pretending to read the paper. "Don't be selfish. Melissa didn't ask for this, we suggested it. Family comes first."
Selfish. The word hit like a slap. For a moment, I thought maybe I was overreacting.
Maybe it wasn't that big of a deal. But then I imagined walking down the aisle only for people to be clapping for Melissa and Jason's 10-year anniversary slideshow right after.
No. Absolutely not. Daniel backed me up that night when I vented to him. "It's your day," he said firmly. "You deserve to have it exactly how you want it. Don't let them bulldoze you." So, I told my parents no. Clear, direct, firm. They acted wounded, sighing heavily, saying things like, "We only wanted to help and you'll regret this decision later." But I held my ground. At least, I thought I had. Because over the next few weeks, I started noticing strange little things. When I visited the venue I loved, the coordinator kept saying things like, "Yes, your mother already mentioned that." When I tried contacting a photographer I adored, he said, "I thought we were already booked with your family." Confused, I asked my mom. She brushed it off. "Oh, honey, I was just helping. You've been so busy, I thought I'd take some of the stress off your plate." But the way she said it didn't sit right with me. That tight, overly sweet tone she used whenever she was hiding something. Then Melissa started making comments. Not big, obvious ones, just little digs. "Oh, I think blush pink fits better with an anniversary vibe. You don't mind if I say a few words at the reception, right? Jason and I are thinking of doing a vow renewal. It'll be so romantic." Every time, I'd snap back, "This is my wedding."
And every time, she'd laugh like I was being dramatic. Inside, the anxiety was building.
It wasn't just about flowers or colors. It was about control.
My wedding, my happiness, was slipping through my fingers, and I could feel it. By the end of the month, Daniel noticed I wasn't sleeping well. I'd toss and turn, replaying conversations with my parents in my head, analyzing every smirk Melissa threw my way. I wanted to believe I was just being paranoid. But deep down, I knew better. Because in my family, if something felt wrong, it usually was.
And I was about to discover just how wrong.
The weeks after that first confrontation were supposed to be filled with joy, dress fittings, cake tastings, and guest list debates with Daniel. Instead, every step felt like walking through quicksand. My parents didn't take my no as an answer.
They treated it like a negotiation. Except I wasn't invited to the table.
One Saturday, Daniel and I went to tour a venue we both loved. It was rustic, with twinkling string lights and an open barn-style reception hall that felt warm, intimate, ours. But when we arrived, the coordinator greeted us with,
"Oh,
your mother already came by and placed a hold on this date for you and your sister's party. She said you'd confirm today."
I froze. My mother? Sister's party? My face burned with embarrassment.
Daniel quickly stepped in, correcting the coordinator, but the damage was done.
I felt like a guest at my own wedding. And it didn't stop there.
The florist casually mentioned my mom had chosen centerpieces with romantic anniversary colors. The baker showed me sketches for a double-layer cake, half decorated with bridal designs, half with an anniversary motif. It was like watching my dream being hijacked piece by piece. I confronted my parents again, this time with Daniel by my side.
"You need to stop making decisions without me. This is my wedding,
not Melissa's anniversary party."
My mom gave me that tight smile again.
"Honey, you're overreacting. It's all the same celebration of love." Melissa leaned across the table, smirking.
"Don't be so controlling.
It's not a big deal. Honestly, Jason and I are doing you a favor. People will remember this day forever."
Her words cut deeper than she knew. A favor.
Like my wedding was just a backdrop for her love story. That night, Daniel held me as I broke down. I hated that I was crying over this, hated that my parents and sister could still reduce me to that insecure kid who never measured up.
But there was something darker under the hurt, an anger I couldn't shake.
It was in the way my dad dismissed me with a wave of his hand, like my objections were childish tantrums. It was in Melissa's smug little smile whenever she mentioned our big day. For the first time, a thought rooted itself in my mind. They don't just want to share my wedding, they want to take it from me completely. And if I didn't act soon, they would. The breaking point came on a Thursday afternoon when I got a call from the venue's billing office. "Hi, this is just a courtesy reminder," the woman said cheerfully. "Your first installment for the combined wedding anniversary celebration is due. We have the $86,000 contract on file with your signature."
My stomach dropped. "Wait. What?"
"My signature."
She hesitated.
"Yes, we have a signed agreement under your name.
Would you like us to resend a copy?"
I don't remember how I ended the call. I just remember my hands trembling as I opened the email with the contract attached. There it was. My name, my details, my supposed signature scrawled at the bottom of a contract I had never seen before. I felt sick. Heat rushed to my face, my chest tightened, and for a moment I thought I might actually pass out. Daniel came running when he heard me slam the laptop shut. I couldn't even form words, just shoved the screen toward him with shaking hands.
His eyes widened. "This isn't your handwriting. They forged this."
"Your parents forged your name."
Hearing it out loud made me want to scream.
All the little manipulations, the gaslighting, the smug comments, they hadn't just been trying to hijack my wedding. They were actively trapping me, burying me under a mountain of debt for an event I didn't want. When I confronted them that evening, I could barely control my voice. "You forged my signature. On an $86,000 contract." My mom looked offended, as if I had done something wrong.
"Don't be dramatic. We signed for you because we knew you'd hesitate.
This is what's best for the family."
My dad chimed in, his voice sharp. "You're lucky we're even doing this. Do you know how much money we're fronting?"
"You should be grateful."
Melissa just smirked.
"Relax.
You'll be the bride.
Everyone will still be looking at you, sometimes."
I snapped then.
My fists clenched so tight my nails dug into my palms. "I never agreed to this."
"You don't get to decide my wedding." And you definitely don't get to sign my name. But instead of apologizing, they laughed. Laughed, like my outrage was childish. And that was the moment I realized, arguing wouldn't change anything. They were too deep in their delusion, too convinced of their control. If I wanted my wedding back, if I wanted to make them pay for this betrayal, I couldn't fight them head-on. I would have to outsmart them. After the confrontation, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. My parents' laughter still echoed in my head, their smug certainty that they had won. Daniel whispered beside me, "We could call the police. Forging a signature on that kind of contract is fraud." I knew he was right, but part of me didn't want to blow it up just yet. Not because I was scared of a fight, but because something colder, sharper, was taking root inside me. For the first time, I didn't want to simply stop them. I wanted them to feel what they'd made me feel, helpless, humiliated, and small. The next morning, I started making calls. Quietly, carefully. I contacted the vendors listed on the contracts and confirmed every detail: the catering, the flowers, the photographer, the DJ. My name was on every single one. My parents hadn't just forged my signature once, they had built an entire fake paper trail, tying me to a bill I never agreed to. It should have made me furious. And it did. But under the anger was something else: clarity. If they wanted this circus so badly, let them have it. Let them pour every ounce of smugness, every bragging word to extended family, every stolen spotlight into a day they thought they owned. Because what they didn't know, what they would never see coming, was that my real wedding wouldn't belong to them at all. Daniel and I started sketching a new plan, a small, intimate ceremony just for us. No grand ballroom, no anniversary speeches, no forged contracts. Just vows, love, and authenticity. We picked a date, hours before the big event my parents had orchestrated. The symbolism made my chest buzz with a quiet thrill. They thought they were hijacking my day, but in reality, they were planning nothing more than an after-party for themselves. For the first time in weeks, I slept soundly. I carried myself differently, too. At family dinners, when Melissa bragged about her anniversary slideshow, I just smiled politely. When my parents gloated about the prestigious guest list, I nodded as if I were too exhausted to care. Let them think they'd broken me. Inside, I was sharper than ever. Every smug smirk from Melissa only fueled my resolve. Every dismissive word from my dad was another brick in the wall I was building between myself and their control. I wasn't their pawn anymore. I wasn't their scapegoat. I was the bride. And this time, I would decide how the story ended. The weeks leading up to the big day felt surreal. To the outside world, it looked like I was a passive passenger in my parents' grand production. My mom was parading around, telling distant relatives, "It'll be the wedding of the year." Melissa kept posting teasers on social media about our upcoming celebration. Every time she said "our," a small spark of satisfaction lit inside me, because I knew something she didn't. While they obsessed over seating charts and anniversary slideshows, Daniel and I were quietly preparing our real wedding. We chose a small chapel just outside town. It wasn't glamorous, but when I stepped inside for the first time, I felt peace. Sunlight filtered through stained glass, scattering soft colors across the pews. It smelled faintly of polished wood and lilies. It was simple. Honest. Ours. On the morning of what my parents believed was the big day, I woke early. Instead of rushing into hair and makeup chaos, I slipped into my gown in silence. Daniel waited for me at the chapel doors, his face glowing with nerves and joy. When I walked toward him, there was no audience, no sister, no forced smiles. Just the sound of my heels on the floor and his soft breath catching when he saw me. We exchanged vows we had written ourselves. My voice shook at first, but as I spoke the words, something inside me steadied. For the first time in months, I felt free. When the officiant pronounced us husband and wife, Daniel kissed me, and I swear the world shrank to just the two of us. No golden child. No forged contracts. No spotlight thieves. Just love. Afterward, we shared cake with a handful of close friends and Daniel's family. Laughter, warmth, simplicity, it was everything I had dreamed of and more. But as the clock ticked closer to the joint celebration my parents had staged, I felt a quiet fire building. Because now, walking into that event, I wouldn't be the defeated daughter they believed I was. I was already a bride, already a wife. Nothing they did could take that away from me. So I touched up my lipstick, straightened my dress, and walked toward the chaos they had created with a calm, almost dangerous smile. Let them think I was theirs to control.
They had no idea I was about to pull the rug out from under all of them. Walking into the reception hall that evening was like stepping onto a stage where I'd been cast in the wrong play. The decorations screamed anniversary. Oversized photos of Melissa and Jason beamed from poster boards at every corner. Their names were embossed on napkins. Even the cake, massive and ostentatious, had "Happy 10 years, Melissa and Jason" piped in bold script across the middle, with a tiny bridal topper awkwardly shoved onto one tier, like an afterthought.
Guests whispered as Daniel and I entered.
"Is this a wedding or an anniversary?" one aunt muttered. Another shrugged. "I think it's both." The confusion rippled through the room, and with every puzzled glance, my parents seemed to stand taller, Melissa's smile stretched wider. My mom swooped in, air-kissing relatives, proudly announcing, "Our daughter is such a generous bride, she wanted to host a double celebration. Isn't it beautiful?"
I clenched my jaw but said nothing. Let them perform. Dinner was served, and the program began.
Melissa, in a glittering gown, grabbed the microphone first. "Jason and I are so honored to share this special day with my baby sister," she cooed, then launched into a speech all about their love story. Guests clapped politely, but I could see the discomfort in their eyes. People were confused, even embarrassed for me. Then my dad stood, booming. "And none of this would be possible without our bride, who insisted on treating everyone tonight. A gift from her heart." The words hit me like a spark to dry tinder.
Treating everyone? No.
This wasn't generosity, it was theft. Theft of my money, my voice, my moment. I rose slowly, my heart pounding but my face calm. Daniel squeezed my hand under the table, steadying me. I could feel every eye in the room shifting toward me, waiting for the dutiful smile, the polite thanks. But that wasn't what they got. I stepped up to the microphone, feeling the weight of silence settle over the crowd. My parents beamed, certain I would play the part. Melissa smirked, probably rehearsing her next line to steal the spotlight again.
I cleared my throat.
"Thank you all for being here tonight. But before we go any further, there's something I need to make clear." My parents' smiles faltered just slightly. "This," I said, sweeping my hand toward the decorations, "is not my wedding. My real wedding already happened this morning." A ripple of gasps surged through the room. My mother froze, her painted smile cracking.
Melissa's smirk vanished.
And in that suspended moment, the power shifted. They didn't know it yet, but the stage they had built was about to become their undoing. The silence after my announcement stretched like a taut wire. I could feel the air shift, confusion, shock, whispers sparking across the room. "My husband and I exchanged vows this morning," I continued, my voice steady.
"In a small ceremony.
Private, intimate, ours."
Gasps erupted.
Daniel stood, sliding beside me, his hand warm and grounding in mine. The projector screen flickered to life, photos I had arranged earlier. There we were, me in my gown, Daniel beaming, our vows, our kiss.
Proof.
The guests erupted in chatter.
My aunt clapped.
A cousin cheered. "Congratulations." The energy swung toward celebration, but not the one my parents expected. My mom's face drained of color. "What is this?" she hissed, frozen in place. I looked straight at her. "This is me taking my wedding back. You forged my signature on $86,000 worth of contracts. You told everyone I was paying for this spectacle. But legally, every vendor here has a fraudulent contract."
"Which means I don't owe a cent."
Gasps again. The caterer stiffened.
The florist muttered under her breath.
Vendors were already pulling out their phones, realizing they'd been scammed. Melissa shot up from her chair, face red.
"You're ruining everything."
This was supposed to be about. "Exactly," I cut in, my voice sharp. "It was never about me, was it? You wanted to hijack my wedding for your anniversary. Well, congratulations, you got your party.
But you'll also get the bill."
Laughter broke out from a few tables. Guests shifted uncomfortably, some openly shaking their heads at my parents. My dad's jaw tightened, his face a mask of fury. "How dare you embarrass us like this?" I met his glare without flinching.
"How dare you steal from me?" And with that, Daniel and I walked out.
Heads turned, whispers followed, and I felt lighter with every step. Behind us, chaos exploded, vendors demanding answers, relatives grilling my parents, Melissa shrieking.
By the next morning, the fallout was complete. Calls poured in. Relatives disowned my parents' behavior. Vendors threatened lawsuits. Their carefully polished reputation shattered in a single night. And me? I had nothing to fear. The law was on my side, the evidence airtight. For once, I was the one holding the power.
Melissa's anniversary would forever be remembered not as a celebration of love, but as the day her family's lies unraveled in front of everyone.
And my wedding? It was perfect.
Untouchable. Ours alone.
I didn't just get married that day.
I got free. Sometimes the most painful betrayals come not from strangers, but from the people who are supposed to protect us. My parents thought they could control me, silence me, and use me as a pawn in their game of appearances.
But the truth always has a way of breaking through.
That day, I didn't just reclaim my wedding, I reclaimed my voice. And sometimes, the sweetest revenge isn't destroying your enemies, it's building a life they can't touch. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button and drop a comment. What's the most satisfying revenge you've ever seen? Don't forget to subscribe for more jaw-dropping stories of karma and justice. Until next time, remember, sometimes the best payback is living free on your own terms.